Hi, it's Mickey Dead here, out in the snow again. So I'm out of here and I'm reminded of old understanding of initiation being for the boy to fall in love with the holy in nature. Now, for this video, I'm not going to go into that in much more detail and mention that, but I want to tie into it as a way of expressing love, of course, for what lies beyond the young boy's immediate family, what lies beyond himself and his parents, and fall in love with this, with life, with nature, with creation. Now, to do that, a child needs to become a man. And that is something a child will never choose on his own, nor will he know how to choose it on his own. And ending childhood in that way is something likely parents won't choose on their own or know how to decide on their own. For that, we need community and male midwives. We need someone to take over where our reach ends. We have too much invested in our son and too many habits and expectations that makes us blind, really, to what his soul is seeking. And for that, we need extended family, we need community. Now, part of that task of community, there's a beautiful light snowfall now. Part of the task of those male midwives in that community is to decenter the child and create a young man who's decentered. If that doesn't happen, which it doesn't for, I think, the majority of us, if that doesn't happen, what do we get? We get a young man who's centered. Another way to say that, we get a young man who's entitled, who expects the way in which childhood was experienced will continue long after childhood, by any measure, is over. And so the child that becomes a young man who expects to be cared for, nurtured, and to have rights but no responsibilities is familiar to many of us, and comes to mid-age with still the same expectation and a sense perhaps of being wronged when life doesn't go the way that he wants it to go. So decentering the child, or ending childhood, so that a decentered young man can begin to be a full member of community in the bigger sense of community, in the sense of kinship, in the sense of being a part of a big web, in the sense of loving nature and caring for it, knowing your ancestry and caring for it, knowing the community you belong to and be responsible for its health. Now that's an initiated knowledge. That's an understanding that we are no longer a child, that childhood is gone, and that we are now a young man learning how to be an adult. We're a young man learning how to take responsibility in this reciprocal web that we're all enmeshed in, and learning also what it means to care for others in the way that he was cared for as a child. So there's no how-to in this. This is an old perspective and an old understanding that I'm aiming to support parents who are interested in this, in offering their child. I mentioned that no parent would choose this or know how to do it or shouldn't do it. And so a huge part of setting up a grassroots initiation, which is my term for this home-based communal transformation of the boy into a young man. We need those relationships with people around us. It doesn't have to be a huge number. 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people who you know and who your son trusts, and then to set things in motion. And the aim there is to really end childhood so that there's ease in this shift of life stage so that we don't get stuck. And not only the child can get stuck in boyhood, but as parents, we can get stuck in parenting a child long after all signs suggest that he's no longer a child, but a young man. So initiation is not just for the boy to become a responsible adult. It's not just to decenter the child so that the young man can emerge. It's not just to ask those few people in our community to come and do what we cannot do, and thereby gift them a sense of being needed, gift them the possibility to wonder about what it is to be a young man in these days. But it also helps shift us in our role and our function as parents for being, as is our want these days, one of the sole key providers of our child, to shifting now, to flattening out the hierarchy of being a parent and beginning to learn what it is to parent a young man who is taking responsibility for his participation in the web of kinship, in the holy of nature.